Chapter 9. 185. Take me back to the apartment, please, Nancy requested. Farron glanced at Wilbur through the rearview mirror. Wilbur said coldly, Sea Lake Island. Farron knew it was an order, so he did not dare to say anything. He drove towards Sea Lake Island instead. He wondered about what to do when they returned, and he decided to let things run their course. Wilbur, I don't want to do this. I know it'll put you in a tough spot, and Faye will be hurt. Just don't, all right? Asked Nancy softly. Wilbur replied in a low voice, I'll explain myself to Faye, so stay out of it. I need to be responsible for what I said. Nancy could not help but sigh. She felt helpless, yet happy. She knew that it would put Wilbur in a tough spot, and she would be called a homewrecker. However, it felt nice to be loved by someone she admired, so she could not refuse. Farron was more helpless than she was, but he did not have a choice. He was afraid that Wilbur would break his legs. He could only go along with it at that point. They got off the highway, and Farron drove to Sea Lake Island. It was 6 p.m. when they reached Wilbur's room. Wilbur told Nancy to sit, and he made tea for her. Is this really all right? Asked Nancy while lowering her gaze. Wilbur replied slowly, Stay out of it. Farron will arrange a room for you to stay. We'll resolve the rest. Nancy did not speak. It seemed like she had no choice but to accept it, and she was willing to accept it. However, she could not show it. She could only stay silent. Farron finally seized the chance to say, I'll go clean up a room for Nancy. All right, come back when you're done, said Wilbur. Farron whined inside and left. There were 2 people left in the room, and they were silent. Suddenly, Ryder could be heard from outside the door. Sir, I have to report something. Wilbur frowned and said, Come in. Ryder opened the door, and he saw Nancy, so he nodded politely as a greeting. Nancy hurriedly nodded back. However, Ryder had a scary face, so she was slightly afraid. Ryder said, Sir, the headquarters are urging us again. It's very tense in Gertown. What do you mean? Can't they stop their work temporarily and wait for us to go over? Asked Wilbur puzzlingly. Ryder frowned and replied, But the local chief started to cause trouble. What the hell is the local chief? Why are they causing trouble? Asked Wilbur with a puzzled face. Ryder replied, It's a historical leadership position. Their titles were invalid as the new Dasha developed, but they still lead the local tribes. Why are they causing trouble? Ryder replied, The Bassin local chief is the chief of Gertown. He said the ancient burial belonged to their ancestors, so they don't allow excavations. Also, they want to enter without permission, and the trouble has been happening for days. Is there nothing the Emerald Province can do? Asked Wilbur. Ryder frowned and replied, Things like this can easily cause tribal conflicts and be taken advantage of by foreign forces, so they're handling it cautiously. They only tried to resolve things peacefully, so they did not send someone over to pressure them. Wilbur pondered and nodded. He said, Let them wait. I have things to attend to. Sir? Ryder was clearly worried. However, Wilbur glanced at him coldly, so Ryder did not dare to say anything else. He could only sigh, and then he left. Nancy lowered her gaze after Ryder left. She said, I caused too much trouble for you. Do we have to be so courteous with each other? Asked Wilbur softly. Nancy could not help but sigh.